Well, let me bring in our panel straight away on this. Our panel of political strategists, Grahame Morris and Bruce Hawker, who have from time to time, of course, appeared on the ABC, but watched it, I'm sure, a hell of a lot as well, and have some pretty interesting thoughts on what's just happened there. Look, Grahame, this is a shock move. No one saw this coming today, and you don't see it too often, but it is a really important job in arguably the most important cultural institution we have in Australia. What do you make of it?
Well, the staff today, a range of staff on the ABC, actually good people in the ABC, tell me her management style was atrocious, was a bit all over the place. She had a few foibles, you know, setting up strange things like lifestyle programs, supposedly spent quite a bit of time in Singapore with her family, and the whole bunch of things sort of added up. But clearly, I reckon this is... The ABC is rife with sexism. If she was a bloke, she wouldn't have been sacked. You know, how many presenters have we had of Media Watch who are female? None. And overseas, the ABC is a laughingstock. They've had 5 leadership changes in 20 years. And I'm also told by very good authority that in the past, Peppa the Pig was rated 5 in the top 5 of the OECD pigs. It's now down to 13. And I reckon we ought to have a royal commission. What would Trioli and Cassidy, Jones, Bananas in the pyjamas, why have they been hiding this? You know, we do need, I think, to get to the bottom of this, a royal commission. It's all about leadership and lack of it. And there was something else I was going to say.
Don't.
Oh, yeah. No, the influence, I'm told the influence that the shock jocks around the country, particularly in Sydney, have on Play School is just an absolute disgrace. Okay. We need to get to the bottom of this.
I detect an element of facetiousness in your remarks there, Grahame, but we'll come back to some of that. Bruce, what do you make of this? Well, I don't know if it's a leadership coup per se, but certainly a big call from the board to dump the managing director.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Grahame knows about as much about it as I do. And I think it came as a big surprise to everybody. Look, she was obviously somebody who was a difficult fit in the ABC. No one has really come out and backed her in, and I think that says a lot. You know, in the past, managing directors and chairmen have really worked pretty much hand in glove, and I don't think we've seen any sign of that. It's been a very difficult time with the ABC. I think they've dropped some really good programs, which they shouldn't have done, and I think that's probably upset viewers. Obviously, it's a highly, you know, I don't know, factionalised organisation is a way to describe it, but it certainly seems to have coalitions of power within its ranks, both at the presenter and staff level and at the board level. So managing all that...
Maybe there is something to Graham's political analogy.
Well, I think that's right. I think it looks as... No, this is a fight for the James Dibble and Taldark Mountain principles, which is the left versus the hard left versus the ratbag left, all in the ABC. But think about the job itself. It's actually quite...
I don't think the chairman is the ratbag left. I'm not sure what his politics is, but I suspect, having been appointed by this government, you wouldn't say that he comes into that category. She's obviously somebody who hasn't really fitted. You know, that might be just because of her background,
But you think about... Well, you think about the job. This is a really hard job to replace. Somebody who has got to understand the journalistic side, the entertainment side, TV, radio, and all the computer stuff, digital technology, government funding, viewers, a board. Yeah, that is a very special person.
Yeah, look, and this is right. OK, so let's just talk about what is needed in that job. I mean, you do have, obviously, you know, head of television, head of news, all these departments that come up with a lot of programming ideas. It's not like the managing director has to sit there and do all of that. But Graham's right, isn't he, Bruce, on, you know, what they really need, someone who doesn't understand the important fundamentals of, ground news-breaking journalism, the importance of that to the organisation, you know, programming that Australians are certainly interested in watching, even if that does include some lifestyle stuff. But, areas of market failure as well that the commercial media aren't doing properly. You have to understand what's going on with the transformation of the media landscape. You have to work with Canberra as well and be able to talk to whoever's in charge here, both sides of politics really. So you've got to tick a lot of boxes there.
Hugely difficult at a time, particularly when television and radio are coming under a lot of pressure from the online platforms. And but she came from Google. She had a background there. She also had a background in News Corp. So it's not that she didn't have any of these qualities. It just seemed that it came at a time when the ABC was under particular pressure because of funding cuts. 1 in 5 of the executives had to go at one stage. Well, that would make you really popular, wouldn't it? And I think it could have happened to anybody.
Across the media landscape. Just to the cultural...
It is. Just one more thing.
Yeah.
I turned my mind to this today. Who is the one person in Australia who might be able to do it? And dare I say it on this channel, it's actually the fellow who put together most of the Sky News. Angelo Frangopoulos. Now, whether or not, he probably wouldn't do it, but could he do the job?
His name's certainly been mentioned in the past for that job. Well, he's already lined up to go somewhere else. Sadly, he's leaving us and heading overseas. But coming back to the cultural problem that Grahame and plenty of others, particularly on the Conservative side, point to. Bruce, do you agree there's a lack of diversity of opinion when it comes to the ABC programming?
No, I don't agree with that. I think the ABC tries to be as objective and down the line as it possibly can be in its news reporting, particularly. And I think it's a criticism, frankly, that's put against Sky on the other side of the ledger, and I don't think that's fair either, particularly during the day. Not so sure about at night time when you do see a lot of politics from the right. But when it comes to the ABC just reporting the news straight down the line, I think they do a good job. I think a lot, as someone I heard today, I think it was Phil Curry was saying, I think a lot of politicians have lost their sense of humour. Every time someone pokes them in the chest and has a bit of fun at their expense, they're off having to answer questions before some Senate committee, and I think that's a shame. I think the ABC
do you
has
think
to
some
be
of those comedy
independent.
programs that have upset politicians and commentators and so on, do you have a problem there that they're...
No, I like the comedy program. I like them, all of them. I love entertainment on television, and I love local entertainment.
Where's your main problem with the left, the ratbag left and so on? Who
my problem with the ABC are the sort of producers who clone young researchers, the same sort of people, and they normally, when they're looking for talent, particularly on radio and whatnot, when they're looking for talent, they go to a predictable group of people, and they all happen to be sort of left-wing academics or... they come... It's a mould breeding a mould, or mould breeding mould.
I don't agree with that.
They are
I
predictable.
think that's nonsense, really. The ABC
You have a look at
the ABC basically is there trying to be as balanced as it possibly can. I've heard during election campaigns, I've known of people who have been engaged by the ABC through media monitoring companies to sit with stopwatches to make sure that the opposition and the government get exactly the same amount of time when it comes to coverage. They are at pains to do that because they're always coming under pressure.
The Labor Party gets praised and the coalition gets bucketed.
That's nonsense, and you know it. That's absolute. That's arrant nonsense. That's just coming from your political bias, Grahame. You've been on programs like QI and
Q&A's terrific.
And where is there any sense of bias there? You get
which is the program,
Grahame? Their commentators, their presenters are
I don't want to go through the whole programming lineup here, but what is it? Is it a radio program or?
I have a problem with the sort of people who are asked to come onto the ABC to prove a point. It's all right.
But
the
you
politicians,
get invited
they
onto
can
the
defend
ABC.
themselves.
You get invited onto the ABC. You can't just say that because there are people from the left side of politics that it's biased. There are people from the right and there are people from the left. It's just silly to go down that line. The ABC, if you started cutting the ABC in country Australia, where most conservative people, most of the people are conservative, you would hear them screaming from the rooftops because of the myriad services that are provided to the people in the bush. It's just rubbish.
All right, let's move on. Enough talk about the ABC. We want people to watch Sky. Now, the news poll today, take a look at it. The coalition clawing back in the latest poll. Let's take a look at the numbers. Scott Morrison cemented his lead as preferred Prime Minister over Bill Shorten. He's up 3 points to lead by 13. The coalition also gaining ground in the primary vote, up 2 points to 36. Labor down 3 points to 39. The government would still be on track to lose about 20 seats, though, on these numbers, if this is what the election produced. There's also been an improvement for the government on the two-party basis, as you can see. Gaining 2 points. Labor still has an 8-point lead, though, and the coalition is trailing 46-54. Grahame, what do you think of those numbers?
Well, it's gone from crap to dreadful, but it's an improvement, and I don't think the Labor Party would not want to underestimate Scott Morrison. You know, you have a look at what he's doing out there. He's appealing straight to Middle Australia. He's talking common sense. He's running through the issues. He's getting some barnacles off the ship. And we know if he can get the coalition close, we know he's a damn good campaigner. This could well be close, but the trick is he's got to keep going the way he is, not stumble, and the people around him have to behave and lift their game and play the game properly. He could get the coalition close to by the time the campaign comes, and then that would be fun.
Yeah, and we're still a fair way off. I mean, Bruce, when you look at the numbers today and your general sense of it, is it possible for Scott Morrison to win the next election?
Oh, it is. It's always possible. And yeah, John Howard demonstrated that on more than one occasion, coming from well behind to win in 1998, I think, was a good example of that. And then again in 2001. So I wouldn't write him off. I don't think he's quite in the league of John Howard when it comes to experience and having that sort of family solicitor sort of appeal that everyone seems to like about him. But I do think that he is somebody who should not be underestimated, and I don't think the Labor Party is underestimating him. And that's why I think they continue to try to lead with policy. It's not just going to be, you know, who's the most popular person for Prime Minister. It's, you know, does Labor look like it's ready to go out there and take over the reins of government, not scare the horses when it comes to the economy, and basically refresh government. If they can keep pushing that, then they're in a good position. And although Morrison, I think, is doing a pretty good job at coming back after the problems with Turnbull, he still leads a divided party. And to really come close between now and 2019, they have to stop fighting amongst themselves. And there aren't many signs of that stopping yet. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But just a quick one finally, Wentworth by-election. I mean, how important, Grahame, is it for Scott Morrison to, you know, get a decent win there in Malcolm Turnbull's old seat? And how do you think he's going?
Well, it'd be good, and it would be nice. But it's not the main game. You know, the main game will come in sort of April, May next year. You know, one hopes the coalition doesn't have a hiccup in Wentworth. You know, and there's no doubt the coalition has the best candidate. But with independents and whatnot there, this is going to be very, very tricky in the current climate where Mr Turnbull has gone. Some in the local electorate are not real happy about that. So it's a bit all over the place. And, yeah, look, the coalition is throwing a lot of resources at it, as they should. If anyone tells you they know exactly what's going to happen now, they're talking through their posterior.
Yeah, still a bit to go in this one. We shall see. Look, we better go. Bruce, Grahame, good to talk to both of you. Thank you. We'll catch up soon.
See you, mate.
Now, a bit further.